Here's Alfred Konuwa with a clip we watched or listened to, I can't remember, on the last live show. Konuwa put up an and counter. Okay, so let's listen to this. Shout out, this is nasty, and shout out the Observer and Meltzer, dude, and the flutes in the chat. Here's an out of the blue impromptu Saturday night Meltzer moment of the week. Let's go.
A couple people from AEW tweeted, "We're so happy for you," and I don't know how, I'm sure they are his friends. They should be happy for him. I'm happy for him.
We bursted out laughing at this clip too the other day. It was so funny. It's this one and then the other one where George, what was he saying? Dave was saying something and then he like interrupted himself and then didn't finish what he was saying.
He backtracked and came around again. I'm like, what the hell did he just do?
I don't even think he came back around. I think he just completely interrupted himself and just went off in a whole different direction and didn't even finish explaining what he was saying. It was so good.
I don't know that it's good business if you are with a rival company to tweet how happy you are that somebody who left got a big reaction. A couple people
versus so there we go. This time won 6-1. So amazing work by Alfred Konuwa there. Let's scroll to the bottom, see what we got. Okay, so Tony Khan lectures Dave. This is a throwback. Are you guys ready for a Meltzer throwback moment of the week? So Tony Khan lectures Dave about his Twitter game and interacting with so many fake bot accounts run by one guy. The botas are really on my TikTok. And says that people in the industry wonder why Dave, oh my God, it phantom removed. Did you guys see that? Oh my God. Well, anyways, moving along. Breaking. Dave Meltzer's girlfriend has watched AEW Dynamite for the first time in a year plus and has declared the show underwhelming and with so many old people on it. I will listen. Meltzer said, what? DM me that one. I will get it back. The throwback. It's the black helicopters. I swear. Bryan Alvarez has me hacked. Okay. We're looking into it, folks. George is looking into it.
Is it really the black helicopters, or is it really you doing it, Phil?
No, it's legitimately phantom keyboard. I bought a Bluetooth keyboard to avoid this. It still happens, folks. Anyways, I will get that clip back, I promise, and either tonight or on the next show. But either way, here is current. So current Dave, his girlfriend has watched AEW Dynamite for the first time in a year plus and has declared the show underwhelming with so many old people on it. Holy.
A shot of him and Big Bill squaring off. And Chris Jericho in his promo had to tell us that Hobbs won the match. Yeah. But it was like, why didn't you show Hobbs getting that big win? I mean, you actually threw to a Collision recap, but you didn't actually show Hobbs winning the match. Yeah. So I don't know, man.
That was the least of the problems of tonight's show, that one.
Damn, I love that he's got to change. Like, I bet Dave starts fanboying NXT now or something. Like, he's just going to fully switch gears, man, because I think he just sees, or maybe not, but at least he's being critical. I will totally give him that. Nobody roasts Dave more than me. And Meltzer said what? But it's just a matter of why can't you admit it, or why is everybody wrong and don't study when they say the same? And then when Dave starts criticizing it, it's okay, though. Like, his criticisms are fair and he observes, he studies, he learns. That's why. Like, we're all watching it too, bro. We all are on to what's going on, right? And I asked Meltzer said what? Have asked numerous people, but it's just like, do you really think Dave believes this? Or is he invested? Like, what is it? I agree. I think that he just really believes that, like, his fantasy of what wrestling should be. Because here's the thing, the Dave Files or whatever, the segment that Jim, and shout out Jim Cornette and Brian Last, they started doing a segment like the Dave Files or whatever, and they were reading old letters, and it was fantastic. I didn't listen to it till like last night or the night before. Fantastic, man. And
that one he wrote to Keitzer telling them how critical he was and everything. I can't wait to hear that response. That's gonna be awesome,
dude. And like, you just hear Dave's such a mark, and it's just his vision for wrestling hasn't come true, or like he thinks he thought it was gonna with AEW or something, or he thinks if he pushes it, it's not that he's getting paid. He doesn't own 3%. People get mad. You really think Phil, you really think Dave owns 3%? No, like I just throw it out there because it's like no one else is gonna say it. Who's gonna say it? Like unless he's financially incentivized, everyone will say that. Maybe it's not that because they just vehemently deny that. No, he's not. He's not getting a paycheck. Even Jim's like, I don't think he's getting a paycheck. Everybody can agree, but okay, then maybe he's bought in, or else it's his fantasy mark dream. And we all have fantasy mark dreams. Phil S. Marks, I fantasy mark book all the time. We hit the X-Files, we have fun with it, and that's what we do, and we admit it's that. But Dave is like pushing, this is always the best idea, even when like people over here with better ideas are showing you that their ideas are better just mathematically with numbers, or whatever, that Dave has to Steiner math and flip-flop around to try and make sense of anything, because it's like cognitive dissonance, bro. His idea of what it should be is just crumbling around him, and he can't figure out, and so it's Steiner math, and not in a funny, charming way. Anyways, we got 20 seconds in before I had to roast him, but yeah, let's go.
I mean, tonight's show. I mean, I was watching with my girlfriend, and she's with the shows, but she doesn't watch the TV because she usually is going to be working on Wednesday nights and everything. But we decided we were going to watch together.
I don't know why that's funny to me. It's because I love Dave so much. He's my favorite character in the IWC.
And it's probably been like, I couldn't tell you how long since we've watched the show together, probably a year plus. And, late in the show, I wasn't really talking. I'm just busy writing.
So he's sitting with his girlfriend writing while they're watching the show. But while he's watching the show, he's like, I'm just busy writing. So then are you even watching the show? Yeah. And like, are you even watching the show at that point, George, if you're just writing and not even talking to your girl? And like, here's the thing. I respect it. There's a lot of times where even my girl's got to do, especially running the YouTube channels, where like I'll throw up the laptop and I edit and I like throw on this show and I'm like half paying attention. So I get that too. I respect the grind, but isn't he like worth millions? And can he just chill? Like chill on the shill, Dave. It's not that important that you're furiously typing. Why don't you just enjoy Dynamite? And then you type out your thoughts on it, like after, and enjoy your woman, and then, or sorry, people get offended by that. Your lady friend, your girlfriend, as you call her,
gets offended by a woman.
I don't know. People are like, oh, don't say that's your woman or whatever. I don't know. I just see people people get triggered on Twitter a lot, George. I don't know if you know that.
No.
Okay, but anyways, though, yeah, it's what I call my woman. God damn it, no. Yeah. So either way, though, his girlfriend, rather, like, enjoy your time with her, Dave, and don't worry about like furiously typing your your Meltzer spin on how Dynamite was good when it really was like a mediocre show. I'll admit this though, chat. Ricochet's like kind of winning me over with this. Like he's just stuck to he's this goofball guy and he's just spiraling, and it's like, okay. He's trying. He's like putting, you guys know I always give points for creativity and putting your best effort in, and he is cutting promos, like better promos than he ever has in WWE. Say they're not the best promos ever in the world. They're better night and day compared to what he was doing before. And then forced, yeah, it's forced, but his whole promo's not forced. He's kind of a geeky weirdo. I kind of get that vibe. So anyway, sorry, I'm a nice guy. I swear. I don't mean it. Ricochet, I'm a fan, bro.
Whenever you start liking something, that's bad.
I know. Whenever I like something in AEW, they always do something to make me not. They always, yeah. Whenever I'm like, oh, Kenny Omega and Cage, they cooked. That was a great TV match. 10 guys run out and it's a brawl, and then I'm like, well, maybe that's the only time that, and then every match someone runs out. It's like
this, okay, and then it's just like this was. I mean, it's like she said something and I was thinking it, but she said it.
So she said something and I was thinking it, but she said it. But remember, I thought it first because I studied and I knew it, but I was thinking it, but I wouldn't dare say it because Tony Khan will fire me. And
it's just basically, it's like, boy, since I last watched the show, they have so many old people on this show. And he goes, don't get me wrong. It's like, we're old. And then she goes like,
we're old. Yeah, Dave, here's the thing. If your girlfriend sees Bobby Lashley and you don't tell her he's 50, she would not know, especially looking at your ass. So I don't even believe this story. This is lies like elbow. You mean to tell me your girl says over the last year and a half, she goes, oh, since the last time I saw this, man, they really have aged up here in AEW. Like there's a bunch of new guys on the show who weren't on it a year ago that are old, like in their 50s, Benjamin, etc., MVP. And Dave's just finally sort of waking up to, yeah, there's old guy, but it's also that they're doing WWE style. And he sees that Tony Khan is realizing what your boy Phil has been saying the whole time. You got to do not WWE light, which is what Tony's doing, which sucks, but you have to do WWE-ish stuff. You have to if you're going to have a TV show, right? All the wrestling can be done on Saturday Night Main Event, Battle of the Belts, on fucking the PLE, the pay-per-view. But that can't just always be what it is, and they banked on that so much. We've said it. John Cena could go there, wouldn't get them a milli. That's a lie, though. I think Cena would draw a milli. But yeah, Meltzer, I just don't even buy this story. I think this is Meltzer's. What I'm getting at here, folks, psychoanalyzing it, right, is I think this is Meltzer's way of being honest about his opinion for once. Like, oh, there's too much old guys. This is ridiculous. I agree with Phil Marks and the Flutes in the chat. And he's trying to say there's too much old guys, but he won't like put it on him. He's going to skirt it and put it on his poor girlfriend. If she's even real, we don't even know, right? But he's going to like put it on her. Oh, she said this thing. So, and I was thinking it too, but like I didn't, she said this thing. So it validates this thing that I was sort of thinking too. But really, he just doesn't have the balls to say, why the fuck is everyone so old on the show? Right? Like I've done, like many other people before and after, and while I have also said, I'm sure, right? So he just doesn't have the balls. You don't have the cojones.
But these guys are like almost our age, and I give them credit. They're in great shape, and their wrestling is good, but they're so old. And it's like you don't even
Dave's GF banned from AEW shows.
half the older people weren't even on the show tonight. But
they weren't even on the show tonight. Tony Khan.
I mean, it's my big takeaway watching it again, as it was. When what was it? The show it was last week or Collision or something.
It was last week. Last week.
Yeah, last week. It's the same. Yeah, it's just one after another, and it's not like any of them aren't good. They're all good.
They're all good.
It's like there's a
They're
reason
all
they lost 18
gone.
to 34 viewers, and it's been going on for a long time. And the reason is because they're not pushing younger talent. I know,
and it's not just that. It's because even if they push younger guys, you still have to make them into stars with stories, which they can't do.
It's not a perfect model because NXT's 1834 numbers are way down too, and they are pushing
1834 numbers are way down too. Dave's just coping there at the end. I know it's not a perfect model because NXT is down too. No, Dave, it's because the demos you're looking at are outdated because you're an outdated old. And then you say people like Jim Cornette and Dutch Mantell are outdated old fucks. Meanwhile, they fully understand and grasp what's going on in wrestling better today than you ever will or have.
John, but whatever it is with AEW, I mean, it's
and then it just cuts off because he's about to just filibuster and say dumb. It's Tony Khan. Let's do a few more here. It is reportedly believed by those close to the situation that WWE will end up owning TNA while blocking AEW from international TV deals. So Meltzer just spiraling, coping over TNA. Oh, look at, he's just trashing it. This is like the doom and gloom reporting, like fear mongering in the news. This is what Dave's doing. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be, a part of this deal. No, I assumed it was just like, a couple things, Dave. The key stuff is they want to get TNA on those television outlets that WWE is leaving. I'm sure India being the big one. So AEW doesn't get those television outlets that they're leaving. So it's not that they're just making big money moves, and it's that AEW. It's because it's reactionary to AEW.
Stupid idiot.
So stupid. because all of their shows are on Netflix internationally, they can't put anything on those stations. So they want to make sure it's not AEW on those stations. This is pure Dave lying, making up, inventing a story in his head. So that's one of the many reasons that they're doing this TNA partnership. I know people who are close to the situation. He always does, right? Until he's proven wrong.
Name's Manny.
Yeah, Manny. Where's Manny? I know Manny. I mean Manny. Think it will end up with WWE owning TNA. They would just buy them right now. Why? What would be the wait? Others think it's going to be a disaster. Oh yeah, Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry and the Hardys and everyone who's excited and all the wrestlers tweeting out how happy they are. It's going to be a disaster. Because it always is at the end. Every company WWE works with always ends up worse off.
Stupid idiot.
Oh,
guys, Tony Khan.
He gets another flute because no, you son of a bitch. So is George, let me ask you a couple questions, okay?
Okay.
Is Ring of Honor better off? Is Ring of Honor better off now that they've worked with AEW?
No.
Is New Japan better off now that they worked with AEW?
Absolutely not.
What?
Okay, Stardom. They did a big gate there. The one show, they took a huge dip after the Rossio Gowish, and that's right. CMLL's blowing up huge. They were doing that before AEW. They're going to do that after AEW. It has nothing to do with AEW. What the is Dave talking about, man? Like, the indies aren't booming right now. Like, that isn't a direct effect of, like, WWE helping getting wrestling cool again. It's so crazy, the coat, man. Every company they've ever worked with.
Yeah,
name
crazy.
One, dude. Yeah, which company, bro? Jesus
I don't
Christ.
think there's one person working for the indies now that doesn't want to become part of that WWID program.
Dude, and, like, ECW only survived as long as it did because Vince was, like, giving Paul Heyman money. And everyone acknowledges that. And it's crazy. He just had first dibs on the talent. So that was cool because you loved ECW because you're Mark. Oh, yeah, I quote tweeted the Dave girlfriend story, and I wrote, I wonder if she rates his performances out of 5 stars. Oh, pop myself. If I pop myself, it's a goddamn good one. Okay.
It's always a dud.
So Dave Meltzer, though, without any cope, says NXT did 812K, 0.22. Excellent numbers. He's not coping for once in his life. And that is good that he said it, and not like, oh, it's down compared or whatever or compared it to anything else. He just said it's great numbers, and that's good. Dave Meltzer via WOR. I know people who are close to the situation. So here, Meltzer said, here, let's play this goddamn clip.
On those television outlets that they're leaving, I'm sure India being the big one. So AEW doesn't get those television outlets that they're leaving, because, they're on Netflix. So that's one of the things. And they, because all of their shows are on Netflix internationally, they can't put anything on those stations. So they want to make sure that, that it's not AEW on those stations. So that's
so that's him saying it too, and you can just tell he doesn't believe what he's saying. That's such cope, and I would have just let him say it instead of me reading it. Anyways, and Dave reports that AEW numbers with no excuses. Who is this, and what has he done to Dave? AEW last night did 655K, 0.19, not including Max. My girlfriend said the show's whack. If I want to keep getting pussy, folks, I have to tell Tony Khan he's up. No spin tonight. Dave Meltzer received these comments from a source regarding young talent in AEW. This is where Tony's at fault. The great criticism. Dave finally criticizing AEW, okay? Dave says, I appreciated the radio show comments, young AEW talent needing to work. It's so true, but nobody seems to be able to get through to Tony on this end. So even Dave is trying to get through to Tony. So Dave wakes up too late, and it's like, you're already behind the times, dude. And it's not entirely on the company. You have to remember the position these guys are in. Yes, Top Flight needs more in-ring time in front of an actual live crowd, or house shows, and not a couple hundred waiting for a taping to end at 11:45. But these guys are also making well into the 6 figures. Bro, Top Flight are getting 6 figures.
What?
What the Give me
Dude,
6.
that's crazy.
Dude, give me 6, Tony. I will stop talking about you entirely. No, they aren't going to hustle for indie work or push Tony about it. Very few indie promoters can afford that, what the AEW guys want to charge. So what have I always said on this show? Tony outprices the indies. That's how it's not good for wrestling. Oh, it's healthy for the wrestling business, Conrad Thompson always says that. But is it though? Because he's outpricing TNA and these other people, these other indies these people could help their wave get bigger on this big wave that is the wrestling boom right now. Tony is paying them whether they work or not. It's the perfect type of shows too, because it won't be filmed and will be in front of a small, super hot PWGS crowd. What a nerd, dude. The type of atmosphere these guys need to be performing in front of, but instead they'll either sit home or work a 3-minute ROH match in a random city. Oh, he's stealing Phil Mark's gimmick now, or what? In front of a comatose crowd. Yes, we did it, chat. We won. God damn it, we did it. Dave is broken. He's admitting it. Come to the dark side. No, for real, though, just admit the truth. We're actually the force. We're the light in this one. This is where Tony is at fault, because Tony Khan needs to be the one telling these guys they need to work. It's part of their job because it's AEW's future here. And it's my future of my publication. So he's admitting it, dude. No excuses. He's just absolutely saying the truth for once. But then he gets delusional here. Someone says, what you're saying could be true, but what's Tony Khan's reason for not releasing the AEW numbers on Max? Honestly, if the numbers were strong, I believe TK would have shared them by now. It'd be great PR for AEW. And then Dave says, the same reason Dana White never releases UFC pay-per-view numbers for fights, like Jones versus Miocic. Yes, he does. He released the 300 pay-per-view numbers. He releases pay-per-view numbers because the contract signed prohibited releasing the numbers, most likely. Do you think Dana doesn't want to tell us a pay-per-view does more than 1 million buys? No, because they don't do more than 1 million buys because of ESPN Plus, Dave. They're going to sign with Netflix. We're going to cover it here on PWT. You're hearing it here on PWT first. No other wrestling anything is talking about this yet. But at the end of the year, UFC's TV deal is up as well. That's a huge thing. And their time's up with ESPN, and ESPN and Disney are going to throw big money at UFC, but Netflix is Netflixing right now. So, and it's all the same company. So Dave doesn't understand ESPN Plus. So they end illegal streaming, one of Dana's biggest rivals. The biggest foe in Dave's rogues gallery is, Dana's rogues gallery is the illegal streamers, dude. And their pay-per-view's dying, bro. You just got to put it on some like Netflix, you know? So Dave's just way behind the times. It is believed that WWE will open the door for TNA to get some of the international TV deals WWE previously had before Netflix, while also ensuring that AEW doesn't get them. See, that's the dog whistle to rally the troops. Dave's a goof. The Observer says that with both Swerve and Lashley being moved in different directions after their match, it was said that they will be put back together in a few months. So there was room, and then again, why stooge the storyline? But then there was also rumors that they didn't want to work together or something like that. So who knows if it lends credence to that. Meltzer says that TNA attempted to sell to Tony Khan in 2018. They also had talks about a year ago with D'Amore about selling, but turned D'Amore's offer down. So he's trying to paint it like they're trying to sell this whole thing. They're going to sell it to WWE. That's not what happened. They said, look, if we're going to offload this thing, if we're going to sell it, Ant Evans explained it on the show. If they're going to sell it, whatever, D'Amore put an offer on the table because he's got a bunch of money, right? And they said no, so he started his own thing. TNA did try to sell to Tony Khan in 2018, but they were desperate then, and they weren't reignited. And Tony gave them a little spark with the Omega crossovers, but that fizzled out. And then it's really the stuff that D'Amore and the new Anthem Boys World Series of Fighting, former president is the TNA guy or whatever. I don't know, man. But those guys are getting TNA locked in with WWE and that as well. They're continuing. It's not that Scott D'Amore did nothing, but that's sort of the beef there, is that Scott, like Anthem, wants to take credit for a lot of what Scott did, even though they did a lot. They both did a lot, but it's just egos. Wrestling's all egos, man. Corey Graves has 2 years left on his... So after Dave lied and said, it's actual heat, actually it's not heat, and then he deletes his tweets, and now Dave's got the scoop. Dave scoops here. Corey Graves has 2 years left on his WWE contract. He wasn't looking to leave the company, even though many in the company viewed his tweets as that. Whether Graves goes back to Raw when football season starts in the fall is unknown. So now Dave has all the info that you think, if he was a real news hound, if he was a real journalist, he would have had this info during the whole, is Graves going to stick around or not? Now he has the info. He's a clown. Dave Meltzer goes off on Jimmy Corderas. Again, we've been chronicling it on the show. Dave Meltzer gets triggered by kayfabe. He does not like when people say, like on the WWE show where Michael Cole's trying to do kayfabe and get people over, and Michael Cole says, he's the number 2. I was going to do Dave's voice for Cole, but Cole's like, he's the number 2 luchador in the world. Some argue he could have been the best. It's kayfabe. Andre stood on a milk crate. Dave, do you get triggered by that? Tony made up the all-in numbers. Vince made up the 93,000 numbers, right? Are you really going to get triggered by kayfabe? And they keep getting triggered by kayfabe, and we keep chronicling it here. There's another example I forget right now, but so Jimmy Corderas just tweets out like a coy, like an ingest. Can't tell you how many times I've seen Haku hit someone with a plancha in a bar fight. Like, that's funny to say. That's just a funny joke. Meltzer goes, that argument is so silly. Based on that argument, 98% of pro wrestling's in ring wouldn't exist. Will Ospreay, right? Like, shut the up, dude. He's making a joke. It's so funny how triggered.
The best guys, Tony Khan.
98 of pro wrestling. Yeah, no, 98 of percent of movies wouldn't exist. Like, we know, bro. It's a joke. And then Corderas goes, Dave, it was a joke. Relax. Jesus. And I mean, he just gets triggered by jokes, kayfabe. That's preposterous. Penta's not even saying Rey Mysterio's not the best lucha. That's preposterous. Keeps getting triggered by kayfabe. It's hilarious. You work in the wrestling business? Isn't that your bread and butter? Now he's like all triggered, trying to everything's brother. Ridiculous. Do you guys see the phantom bookmarking? It was going off on the side there. Anyways, Triple H's thoughts. Here's a throwback too. Meltzer has blocked 1 million people for 1 million reasons, but not many reasons are as funny as mine. So look at this. This is a throwback, and I didn't even know this. Remember when Meltzer said this on his message board? He says, I just got named by Sports Illustrated one of the best Twitter guys in sports, so the real world disagrees. Given how business growth has paralleled Twitter growth, me getting off Twitter would make as much sense as Gato sending Okada to Impact full-time. And this is in 2020, right? Because this guy, People's Elbow, says Dave needs to get off Twitter. It is beneath him and his credibility. And Dave's like, the mainstream doesn't think that. I was named by Sports Illustrated. This is what Triple H's thoughts, formerly Vince's thoughts, said. LOL. And look, this is what the article said. Nothing is going on right now. I've put together a completely random list of 100 sports media personalities. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to the list. Nothing is ranked. It's just a list of sports media names. Enjoy. And Dave was trying to be like, I was named in Sports Illustrated. He gets blocked.
Technically.
Even though the liner note at the end is like, yeah, this is just randomly 100 names I thought of while I was bored to meet my quota of articles this month or whatever.
Got your local guy from AAA baseball on there.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week.